Wonderful. Wow. This is, I know you love this because I know you love the name, but please welcome to Streaming for Vengeance, Mr. Bruce Dickinson. People are going to talk. This is the second time in a couple of weeks that we've had a chat.
Yeah, no, I'm in Montreal, so I'm going to put my cold weather hat on, you see.
Well, you know what? Since the last time we spoke, gas has risen 50%. There's a terrible war in Ukraine, and your first taste of fame has turned 40. There's a lot of water that's gone over under the bridge, right?
Yeah, lots of stuff is going on at the moment. There's, I don't think there's anything there's nothing that I can do physically or in any other way really to materially affect, gas prices or the price of wheat or, the war in Ukraine. I mean, I think they're getting on with it, sadly and tragically.
No, absolutely.
But all you can hope is that collectively, people come to their senses and realize, that people should start dropping their rifles rather than pointing them at people. Maybe people should go home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Terrible tragedy. But let's focus on brighter things. And welcome to the Great White North. You've got your toque on. Have you seen?
Yeah, I got my toque. Yeah. No, exactly. I had to ask about that because I went, "What's a toque?" Right? Oh. And so we had a discussion about this at the bar the other night about a toque, and I went, "I've never heard of that." And so it comes from a French word which is toque, which is TOCQUE, I think. Toque. And it's actually, and so my girlfriend Anna, being French, she went, "That's not a toque." I went, "Yeah, but you could see how it would kind of like morph into on it. Toque is actually one of those things with flappy ears and things like that, like a Russian type hat. That's a toque, but it turned into a toque. It's like an Elon.
I'm sure if you went to the Iron Maiden merch store, you'd find toques there, right?
Toques, yeah, but I don't think they're called toques. Maybe they are. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, so welcome to the Great White North. Although there's no Toronto date, I find this incredible because Iron Maiden have such a great history with Canada, and it hasn't been like some bands that might jump over from Seattle to Vancouver or just do Montreal and Toronto. You guys have always done right across, and you've done multiple dates, and you're doing that the same way with your spoken word tour. So thank you.
It's worked great. I mean, I think the reason, well, I don't know why there's no Toronto date, because I did what must be 3 years ago or something now, a date in Toronto. It's not really this show. This show has kind of morphed into its own animal now. I mean, it'll be 43 shows by the time I've finished this, and getting up towards 60 if I include Australia, New Zealand, and things. That's a lot of shows. So I don't know why they didn't just sort of go put a theatre in the middle in Toronto. But so we're basically doing, the burbs. So we're doing Hamilton and we're doing Kitchener. So, that's fine. That's all good. So that's what we're doing.
Well, Hamilton I went to university in Hamilton, and that's where all the BraveWords roots were started in the early 90s, late 80s. So just an FYI, McMaster University. Anyway, so what are some of your favorite spots in the country that you really enjoy doing, and the cuisine? And please don't tell me you like tea and Timbits when you come to Canada.
No, but I was, it's always a worry, isn't it, when you come here. I mean, when I do momentarily muse about, death in the show, like our demise, and I really can't tell you what happens because I'm not a Buddhist, so I don't know what I came back as, but it would be really unfortunate if I came back as a salmon in Canada, because you know what's going to happen to you. You're going to end up in a tin or in somebody's tummy, because I've eaten an awful lot of salmon. And I love salmon, don't get me wrong. I had some of the best Brussels sprouts I've ever eaten. In fact, I would actually say they were the finest Brussels sprouts in the world in Edmonton, right? Which was took me completely by surprise, because the world has gone mad about Brussels sprouts in North America. Every damn restaurant has got and a side order of Brussels sprouts. I mean, haven't they ever tried to sleep with anybody after they've been eating Brussels sprouts? I mean, it's murderous, you know what I mean? But anyway, I mean, inflammatory, it's inflammable, you know what I mean? But so Brussels sprouts, salmon, had some great sushi in Vancouver. Wished I'd spent more time in Victoria, or actually in Sydney, because it's beautiful. I mean, Vancouver Island. And then we rocked our way through Winnipeg. Calgary was a bit in and out. I missed a chance to go to the Bomber Command Museum in Abbotsford in Calgary because we just couldn't make it work with the drive and everything else, blah, blah, blah. So that's one for the bucket list for later on. And then in Hamilton, top of my list is to go see my buddies at the Canadian Warplane Museum there, right, which is at Hamilton Airport. Absolutely awesome. And they've got the second flying Lancaster in the world there, and I've been very privileged. I went up in it, and it's an astonishing experience.
Well, you've already answered my next question. Like, how are you filling the days off the stage? You are the ultimate tourist, it sounds like.
Well, the days off the stage are few, actually, because it's basically in the US, we were doing 5 shows a week. And at least one of the days off was a travel day. So you didn't really get like a day when you go, nothing to do today, you know. So yeah, it's been a pretty grueling schedule, you know. But that's all right, you know. That's what schedules are for, to be grueled.
Well, and traveling these days, especially with all the COVID tests and everything, and all the restrictions, it takes a lot longer to travel right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the bits and bobs, and you know, it's all a bit. It's slightly patchy from one place to another, and I mean, right, in the US, I mean, when we turned up in Florida, I mean, there was like nothing, I mean, at all. I mean, nobody was bothered about anything, you know, in particular. So I thought, well, the last thing I want to do on the tour is actually get COVID, not because I'm going to die, but because I'm not going to be able to do any of the damn shows, you know. So I've been sensible, you know. I've been, you know, avoiding sort of like, you know, deep throat sessions with fans and things like that. So, you know.
What do you find the biggest differences between the Canadian fans and the American fans?
You know what? It's not even as generic as that. It's actually from state to state, from city to city.
Right.
So there are some gags in the show which I mean, it's like there's little moments in the show, there's a little aside about something, and some nights, I would say, some nights it's probably about 80% of the time people just deadpan it, doesn't go down. 20% of the time people go, oh, whoa, I don't believe you said that. Right? Okay. And you could pick your places. So Edmonton was one of those places. New York was one of those places. You know, San Francisco was not. You know, I mean, it was weird. So one or two of the gags in the show, from city to city, from place to place, it's astonishing. You know. Maybe
the Monty Python humor goes over the heads of certain people.
Oh, maybe it does, but I don't care.
We talked about, it wasn't your idea, but the whole cue card thing, and how is that working out? And are there some questions that you want to answer, but you can't answer, you don't dare answer, or you just sit there and giggle at yourself and going, oh, they probably wish they knew this answer?
Oh, you know, the one I got propositioned by a guy on a cue card. It was great. It's like, have you ever been intimate with a man? I went, okay. Would you like to be? You know, and then he wrote his phone number. You know.
Jesus.
So I thought, this one's got to go in. You know, have you ever been intimate with a man? You know, in brackets. You know, never seen a grown man naked. You know, and everybody was cracking up. And I said, but no, seriously, would you like to be? And everybody was cracking up even more. I said, well, look, honestly, I'm kind of taken at the moment. But if you're lonesome tonight, Kevin, here's his number. I read his number out. He was not be lonesome tonight. No, funny stuff. I mean, but people sometimes write things that are, unwittingly funny. Like, how do you deal with having stage fright? FREIGHT. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny, as long as I can say it in a way that people realize that spelling is what it is. Yeah, I get some really good funnies. And I get some really heartwarming ones as well. People who have, I had a lady last night in Calgary, who wrote, it was a kind of a thank you for cheering her up, but also the fact that she got blindsided by having breast cancer. No symptoms, no lumps, no nothing. She's perfectly fit. There was nothing wrong with her at all. And all of a sudden she went in and had a lump of her breast removed. And she's recovering. And she's like, I just can't get the word cancer out of my head. How do you deal? What do you do about that? And whilst I'm not there to be a, kind of agony aunt, or more appropriately, agony uncle, I suppose. While I'm not there to do that sort of thing, I can give my way of dealing with it. This is how I dealt with it, and you might find it useful, or you might not. Being as gentle as you can, but at the same time taking a kind of a positive spin, which is what I did with mine. So you get questions like that, which and you may get several, so you have to pick one, because you don't want to go on to a great long, and here's another one, my arm fell off the other day, what should I mean, so you don't want to have it completely log jammed with things like that. So I try and pick a good mix of the funnies, the maiden questions, the singing questions, the solo questions, the airplane questions, of which there's loads, and what I call the gateway questions, which is a question that I can go, you know what? It's funny you should say that, but that reminds me of this story. And that means you can slot in a couple of kind of set pieces, if you like, because the questions lead you that way. And sometimes I do a bit of singing at the end. And that's always led by the questions. There's no question that asks me to sing anything really cool. I don't do it.
We've been enjoying the whole crooning part of that.
Yeah.
Like,
tonight.
Exactly.
Well, there you go.
Like, how do you? Do they get chosen for you, or do you have them pre-planned in your head?
No. I just pluck them out of whatever they say. So I think I've done The Road to Hell. I did Man of Sorrows. I did Omega the other day. There's been a few. So in fact, I did Children of the Damned the other night. I did Children of the Damned, then told the story of Nico, and then did Tears of the Dragon. And my agent really fell over. He went, you did it twice. You didn't tell me you were going to do it twice. I said, well, I didn't know it either, but I did that. Hey, what the heck,
It's like, what's the hardest song to sing live in your little repertoire? Is there some songs where you're like, oh, I can't do that tonight?
Well, now, if you're doing something a cappella, the big challenge, first of all, is doing it after 2.5 hours of talking, right? Sure. Which is like, terrible for your voice and all the rest of it. But I sort of warm my way into it. The worst thing is trying to start the right bloody key, because I've got no note to take it from. So I have to kind of do it from like muscle memory, which works quite a bit of the time. But when I did, what was it, Kill Devil Hill, I actually had to take the thing a half step down in the middle of the chorus, because I realized I'd started the verse about in the next key up. I was like, oh, and the wind whips over the hillside. So yeah, but you know, it's kind of winging it. You know, I don't do the whole song. I just do sort of like 30 seconds or so of it. And it's kind of cool because people hear the voice naked, you know, which is unusual. You know, they don't get to hear that. With Maiden, it's completely different because obviously everything is going to be in the right key, and it's in the same key as the original. So that's a different, a whole different set of parameters with Maiden, you know, which I'm looking forward to getting my chops round in May.
Well, and there's some singers that will actually want to or have to hide behind the music. So it's quite the a wow moment to see someone just belt it out.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is Maiden is with Maiden the role of the singer, it varies. Sometimes it's really out front, and sometimes it's just an instrument. It's just part of the ensemble. You know, so and as a singer, that's fine because you're in a band and that's the way music rolls. But it's nice sometimes to get things like texture and the not just the notes and not just the words, but the texture, the feeling of the soul behind the voice. That's, you know, that's hard in a, you know, in a lot of the Maiden stuff. That's hard to do because it is so bang, 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 bang. You know, then you get, you know, these lovely moments like in like Blood Brothers and things like that, where it can really come out. The voice really got time to breathe. You know, so it's not all like that. But certainly in the early days, you know, there was like, you know, I mean, long time, you know, you won't get anywhere. Like that sort of, you know, Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that. And of course, Trooper, which is unbelievable. It's a classic song. I mean, one question was, what Maiden song would you play for Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky? I went, well, come on, you take my life, but I'll take yours too. You know, you fire your musket, but I'll run you through. You know, I mean, it's that's it. It's like it's the original. War's magnificent, but my God, it's pointless. You know, so stop it.
Can we talk about 40th anniversaries?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well,
did you know that the 40th anniversary gift is a ruby, and rubies possess a flame that never burns out?
Oh.
So that kind of adds a different element to the number of the beast. And I know you've done a couple of interviews about this, and it was such this, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but at the time, as a little kid growing up with Iron Maiden and having that album enter your life, it was just surreal, and the scene was just about to explode, and you guys were right on the cusp of it.
Yeah, no, it was, and that was very much the feeling at the time, because when we made the record, we all knew it was really special. We didn't know exactly why, and we didn't know exactly how, but we thought this is a really special record, you know, from the moment that we did the Run to the Hills track. And I mean, it just blew the doors off worldwide, everything, boom. I mean, you know, we sold 250,000 singles when people bought, you know, actual singles back in the day, 43 years ago. Right. We sold 250,000 singles in the UK alone of that record. Absolutely astonishing. And it made them already on the world map, on the world sort of like map of metal rock, you know, and they toured America and they'd done extensive tours of Europe with Paul singing. And Killers was a fantastic album as well. But then, you know, we did a kind of a 90-degree left turn with Number of the Beast that just accelerated us into another bloody universe. It's astonishing. And the next 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 years, I describe it as the world's biggest roller coaster, except that it was always downhill. You know, it never stopped. You know.
Now, and Run to the Hills being the first single, that would have been the first time that the world would have heard your voice, unless you were a Samson fan,
Yeah.
right? And that just that came out like a month or two beforehand. Like, what was the vibe of hearing that single explode on UK radio and around the world? It was the first taste we all heard.
Well, it's still to this day when I hear it, and those harmonies on the chorus and stuff. I'm just like, wow. Martin Birch, our producer back then, the legend, right? Just amazing. I've got the Iron Maiden pinball machine, right? So 380 million, in case you're going to ask. So, and there's going to be somebody out there going, yeah, that sucks. I got like 600 million, so you're amateur, which is true. But it's got a great sound system built into it. And I just love listening to all the track selection on it. And Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Power Slave, Can I Play with Madness? But I mean, just all that Martin Birch stuff sounds amazing. It really does. And you listen to where Martin puts things in the mix. I mean, it's genius how he mixes and where the guitars and the bass and the voice sit in the soundscape. It's not obvious. It's subtle. And that's why it stands the test of time.
And would you think you were paying attention at the time?
No.
Or were you just caught in the moment? No.
No. I didn't realize anything like that. I thought, wow, that sounds great. Whoa, yeah, let's have another beer. And that was the thing. We had a stack. We actually the one wall of the studio. We had about those, whatever they were, party 4s, party 7s. It's like a 7-pint, keg, right? So we actually had a small battlement of empty kegs stacked up against the wall by the time we'd finished the album. It was we were partying away. I think after every track we were like, yeah, staying up till 5 a.m. and then getting up the next day going, oh no, we're going to go in the studio today. But you just survived on adrenaline and the vibe and everything. I mean, it was the middle of winter and it was miserable outside, but it was just added to the atmosphere. It just added that we were, we'd go up there by, however we got there, by like minicab or by train or tube or whatever, and like walk through the like snowy streets and go, yeah, we're going into the studio and it's going to be really exciting because we're doing something amazing, and you felt really special and the rest of the world felt like weird. It's like, because you come out the studio and you go, these people don't have any idea what's going on in our heads. Wow. It's great.
And how do you accept the reality that so many bands around the planet, it started with the seed that you planted in their head, and you meet someone like Lars Ulrich and he's here because of you first.
It's nice, but I can't quite, I can't get my head round it in any specifically, because I'm not sure what that would do to my head. Is it one of those Luke, I am your father moments? I mean, I have to be getting on with the next thing that we're doing, and whilst it's great that people look back at things we've done and go, that really inspired me. I'm looking to the next thing that we're doing in the hope that it inspires somebody else.
Couple of quickies for you. What's your favorite moment during an Iron Maiden show?
My favorite moment during the Iron Maiden show. And the current show, there's several moments. So always get a kick when you walk out with a Spitfire, running up the stairs with the trooper flag, coming out there big, wah, like that. two-fisted flamethrower on Flight of Icarus, whoosh, like that. So there are little moments like that, you know. There's loads. When we changed the set into like the cathedral for Revelations, and it comes out of nowhere and just changes, like from one universe to another universe, you can hear the audience go, "Ooh!" every night. So cool.
The last time we spoke, you said that you were beginning to create the whole staging for the current tour. Where does that sit right now? Have you actually ran through a set though? Have you? No.
We haven't. That's what we're going to do at the end of April. We start doing that, all of us together, end of April. But the set is done. It's done. It's tried. It's been up and down several times. They've rehearsed it. They've done all the moves that they need to do in it to get it all squared away. I know that because Griff, my son, is on the crew. So he's and nice. One of his jobs is doing the set. So so he's getting stuck in. So he gave me all the secret lowdown on it. He said, "Wow, that's really cool." You know, I mean, they're training like a Formula One pit crew. You know, they've got to accomplish X, Y, Z, whether the A to Z in 1 minute 45 seconds or less.
Right.
Fantastic.
It's like the Indy 500 then.
Yeah.
Right. Last question on Roy Z update. We've talked a great deal about your partner in crime.
Yeah.
He's always pulling things out of his back pocket. What kind of musical direction has that moved forward? The next Bruce Dickinson solo record? Well,
I had probably about 70% of the record written, basically written and I suppose 7 years ago. So 2015, before 2015. Yeah, maybe in 2015 or then, something like that, like before we were making the Book of Souls record. All of this stuff that we're now reviewing was done. And I thought, well, we should get round to this one of these days. And then 2015, finished the Book of Souls record. And the plan was I was maybe going to go out and go back out to the US and finish the solo record. And I got throat cancer.
Right.
So that was 2016 gone. And then 2017, it was just Maiden full steam ahead all the way. And then it was a little bit more nibbling away at it. And then it was COVID. So, that's how it's ended up being 14 years since Tyranny of Souls to now. It should have been like 7 years, but it's ended up as 14. But anyway, when I was in LA for 5 days, we had a break of 5 days between Seattle and Vegas, doing the show in Vegas, before I came to Canada. I was working with Roy and we went in and we actually wrote 2 new songs and put them down with drums. So we also went through all the rest of the material and went, geez, it's actually really good. Wow, there was a question whether or not I should start the album or not start the album with the original title track, which was If Eternity Should Fail, which was written for the solo album and demoed for the solo album. And Steve heard it and went, oh, yeah. Book of Souls. So the same thing as Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. Right. So
mine.
I thought, what, screw it. I'm going to do our version of it. It's not that dissimilar to the Maiden version, but there's some subtle differences. It's a bit more Quentin Tarantino than the Maiden version, or will be hopefully by the time we get it done, because it fits in with this it's like a half a concept during the, so about half the album is a series of characters and stories. And then there's some other stuff in there. There's a very cool thing which evolved out of a jam on Accident of Birth. And literally it was like we were all in there grooving away, and somebody put a loop on, and we made it up on the spot. And it's about 9 minutes of it.
Wow.
And it's awesome. It's incredible. And I heard it back. I'm like, holy, wow. Did we made that up? We just made it up. Lyrics and everything. Now, it needs some tweaking. We need to, but it honestly, and it's, it's a fairy tale. Atmospheric, dark, moody. There's no, stuff in it at all. It's just one huge mood and all enveloping piece. And it's really, really fucking cool.
And is that still the title of the album, though?
No, I'm not going to call it that. If Eternity Should Fail. Yeah, I've got another couple of candidates from the song titles that would still be relevant. Yeah.
Bruce, thank you so much.